So before we get started, we need to find some remix stems. And there are a lot of ways how to do that. First thing, of course, always you can do is write your song name and just write acapella, let's say, because acapella is what we usually use for the remix. And as you can see, for example, for the very, very popular songs, we usually can find those acapellas. But if you cannot find them, there's also this site called remixbox.ru. And here you will find pretty much everything that has ever been released as stems for remixes. For example, more unknown artists, and somebody, as you can see, uploaded the stems as it was someday a free remix contest. You can find a lot of stuff here, and I believe that's not anything illegal, as people here just share the free stems that at one point were released. So let's search for some song a cappella. So let's say we have this acapella, and really cool trick how to download them from YouTube is just write pp after YouTube like this, and it will take us straight to the download. We need to mark the MP3, but we definitely don't want this quality, so we'll go to MP3 converter and set the 320 kilobytes per second and hit download. Really, really handy trick. So I loaded the Legends Never Die acapella, and now usually those acapellas will be processed already. So we won't have much trouble with post-processing the vocals to sound great. Another thing is that we can learn a lot how the vocals are processed and how the whole vocal sounds. For example, let's listen to it.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out?
Pretty nice.
Every time you play live, they never lose hope when everything's cold.
Ooh, and now you can, for example, hear that there are some stereo vocals doubled by some male vocal.
They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. Right into smoke, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never.
Now in this part we can hear that there's a robot vocal trick that we use in hard rock chorus, for example. If you listen closely,
Legends never.
in this part you can hear it clearly.
Never.
There's this layer which is playing only one note, and for example through that you can learn that this type of layering can really make your vocals powerful.
Die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name?
Okay, so now we can hear, for example, that there are a lot of distortion and a lot of layering, exactly again with the robotized effect that we use in hard rock course or the mixing course. Make sure to check them both out if you haven't yet. There we learn a lot about vocal processing and vocal mixing. Alright, so we definitely need to stick to the BPM, so I think this one is pretty close.
Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause it's fierce. Oh, pick yourself up.
Actually, it's perfect. Let's set it to half of it, so it's not that fast.
Reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope.
Pretty nice. So we got it straight away. If you need to find a BPM of some track, you can use this function, view tempo tapper. You can just tap and find the BPM of your whole track. So now there are a lot of ways that we can approach making a remix or making future-based track in overall. So future-based is definitely from 140 to 150 or something like this. You can also go lower, but we use 70, so the BPM is not that fast throughout the song. So that's a half of 140. We could start now with writing the drop of the song. There are a lot of people that start with the drop actually. I'm not personally a fan of doing that. You're of course free to do it, but how I like to start things up is with intro, then breakdown, at least some elements of it to make the feeling of the track. So then I can build up to the drop and I have a lot more inspiration to make the drop. If you have a lot of inspiration to do the drop, of course, go straight and do it. So I'd like to definitely start with some intro with some arpeggios. Let's set it like this.
Legends never. Legends never.
And let's say we'll have 4 bars of the intro and then the acapella comes in. First thing, of course, was to make the vocal properly placed on the grid. That we have done already. So let's start right away. Let's link our acapella to second track, because here we'll use some sidechaining, and let's add some serum patch. We'll be using serum, as many of you definitely have it already. Right, so let's take our serum patch and let's just for now low pass it, and we'll just write some chords so we know what sound we are playing. We want to do the intro, but let's put it on the acapella so we know what chords we should write. We'll start definitely with writing the bass notes.
Die when the world is calling you, Can you hear them screaming out, your name? Legends never.
For example, as you could hear,
Your name.
exactly in the very empty spot of the vocal, only then the delay came in. And that's definitely a really nice trick that you should use in your own productions. Now let's write some chords.
Die, when the world is calling you. Can you hear them scream? Die, them screaming out your name. Die, when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name?
If you want to learn how to make these chords in matter of seconds, definitely check out our full harmony course where we teach you everything you need to know to make amazing sounding chords right away. Okay, though I would like to make some arpeggio out of it, so let's try Alt A and let's say
I die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never
that sounds really nice in my opinion. Although
die. Legends never.
here let's go back to C.
Legends never die. Legends never. Legends never.
Really nice. Now let's change the filter, maybe to some reverb one. That sounds really nice. Super fun. And now let's add some unison to it. We could even automate the detune a little bit. Let's maybe use the filter inside of the effects, because if we choose the reverb here, set it the same amount and increase the resonance, it sounds a little bit different and it has more tail to it. Let's just leave it like it is. Alright, now I would like to put it in the very beginning. Let's rename it ARP. Assign it to a new mixer track, and right away I would definitely like to use equalizer to make it completely disappear like this. Sounds pretty nice. And now definitely I'd like to add some reverb, and for the purpose of this course I'll use Valhalla Vintage Reverb to make it sound the best I can. You can use any reverb you have or you like, and if you have only stock plugins, a project file will be also included in the course downloads without the third-party plugins, so definitely check it out. Or if you're building track with me, you can use the Convolver presets that I've included in the course downloads. So I load it, but as I say, it's just for the purpose, so the track sounds as good as we can.
Legends never die when the world is calling you to survive.
Alright, so here will be some kind of build up, so let's mark it straight away. I used Alt T shortcut to do it. Here will definitely be our intro. Here are start. Okay, and here will be our drop.
Legends never die.
And here breakdown again. Alright, now I'll definitely like to add some chords to it. So let's add a new pattern called organs, let's say. Definitely not like human organs, right? This will be ARP. And let's add it right here. Add new serum instance and we'll start with very simple chords. Let's say something like this. We'll increase the unison to about 4. Really small detune. And something like this. And let's straight away write some chords.
Die, die, when the world is calling you, calling you, calling you. Can you hear them screaming out?
And let's copy this chord again here.
I die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never.
Again, if you want to learn how to write these chords that fast, check out our full harmony and chords progression course.
Greatness, relentless, you survive. Greatness, relentless.
Alright, let's straight away take care of how they sound a little bit. Let's rename them organs. And I'll definitely like to get rid of everything from the very lows to make it really subtle in the very beginning.
Die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming?
Maybe let's add sub 1 octave down.
Die when the world is calling you.
And some subtle noise.
Die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out?
Let's also add some diode. Let's also make some volume automation out of it, like this, so it's moving a little bit. And now we'll make some cool bumps here, just a little bit like this. And now after we've got this, we'll go into the matrix and take one, and in the source choose LFO2, the amount set to around 5, let's say, and global master tune. This very subtle pitch bend down and up will make the sound way more organic. Alright, let's hear it.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name? Legends never die, they become a part of you. Every time you bleed for reaching greatness, relentless, you survive.
Okay, I definitely would like to make automation out of this guy for the organs right away, so they hide in the moment like this.
Greatness, relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold in the vibe.
Alright, so here will be some nice instrumental going in the build-up. And let's just group it to this guy. And same thing with this one. And like that, so we have it a little bit organized. Let's also add to the very beginning the vinyl noise to take care of the higher frequencies a little bit. Since, as you can see, we have nothing here. The bass, of course, doesn't have to be taken in the very intro, but it's cool when we have some ambient sound in the very tops to make it interesting from the very beginning. So let's go to our brand new Ultimate Future Bass sample pack, and there we have a lot of claps. You cannot go wrong with this one. And we'll just use the miscellaneous, and let's choose the vinyl noise. Let's put it here. And we'll definitely put a new track to it. And let's limit it so it's not that peaky.
Legends never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them screaming out your name?
Let's change this guy to an instrument and set it ARP, this one as well, to instrument organs. So every time we make a new automation, it applies to this guy as well as with this acapella. Audio track, acapella, like this.
Legends never die. They become a part of life, reaching greatness. Relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is.
Here we could change a little bit of the midis. Let's make this guy unique. This one as well.
Bones, they'll ride into smoke. Bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is.
This way we're making some kind of secondary dominant. I didn't analyze it, but it sounds like it for me, but it works pretty nice. Here we can do it as well. Something like this, so we gently move it into the drop, harmonically of course. Alright, so right away I'd like to start with writing some build-up instruments, and I'll definitely like to start with some bass and Reed's bass to be exact. So let's add a new instrument, which will be of course our beloved Serum. And we'll again make just a very low filter like this, put it right here, and turn up the unison around here, make the attack a little bit slower, and definitely put the voicing to mono legato, and portamento we can say to 80 milliseconds, doesn't really matter. And now we'll add another pattern with bass, and let's just copy those organ bass notes to it.
They never They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce.
Rename it bass, of course. That's cool because it changes automatically to the mixer, and also if we change the color here it also does this, so Let's maybe get rid of the very sub bass.
Live. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near.
Maybe bump up the highs a little bit.
Live. They never lose hope.
And link this one to the controller.
Live. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their.
Let's make an automation clip out of it. Again, if you're not sure what I'm doing, make sure to check out the beginner's course first.
Live. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's live. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, live. Smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends live when the fire is fierce. Oh, deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends live. They never lose hope.
We can make more unison to it so it is a little bit more heavy, and definitely right now we'll add compressor to it.
Live. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick your live.
That's a little bit of the mixing, but I'd like to do it right away so the bass is not that jumping in the volume. We'll get into it, but that's mainly because the phases are phasing out each other sometimes and sometimes not, because we have very low frequencies playing, and the waves in the very low frequencies, by very low I mean those frequencies, are just cancelling each other out once in a while, every couple of seconds. So that's why we would like to keep the compressor on our bass. We'll get into it later though. Now let's write some orchestral instruments to our build-up. We'll use our instruments that I've prepared here. So let's load marimba first and open piano roll and add a new pattern on it. Definitely let's assign it to a new mixer track and set the track mode to this one, of course.
Live.
So now we can maybe put a limiter on it so we can bump up the volume a little bit.
Live. 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 They never lose hope whenever lose hope whenever lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's lose hope when it's near. It's near. It's deep in their bones. It's near. It's near. It's deep in their bones. They'll ride into smoke. It's deep in their bones. They'll ride into smoke when the fire is. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause
Alright, cool. Now let's maybe take this guy up.
live. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones. They'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh,
Alright, nice. Now let's add strings. The same arp I think we'll take. Strings. Let's make this instrument track.
live.
So let's just copy the marimba MIDI to the strings. Maybe let's make it doubles. We should pre-delay it a little bit so it's in time.
They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll rot into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never.
Let's cut the very lows from the marimba.
You survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near.
As well as the strings.
You survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near.
That's also a little bit of the mixing, but I like to do certain things right away. Next up, let's add this black guitar that we have here. Like this. Let's also put limiter to make it louder. And let's copy it a couple of times here, here, and let's see here, and we'll just be changing the MIDIs. Pretty nice.
You survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll rot into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause.
Alright, I'm starting to hear it already. Now let's add some drums. We'll add orchestral drums right here. Put it right there. And let's go to our ultimate future bass sample pack. And we'll take some of the crashes, definitely. Let's take this one. Let's take this orchestral one, and also we'll take all of those, surely, and later we'll use the effects from here. And let's just take the clap, this one.
Reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. Reaching greatness, relentless, you survive. Reaching greatness. They never survive.
make it like this. Let's make some triplets here. Every next one, let's use higher pitch so it's not the same all the time. Like this. So like this maybe. So like this. Now let's take this snare and copy it to this one. This way better, of course. Now let's add some tremolo here. Let's enable envelope so it stops when we stop the MIDI. Like this. Let's put all the snares in one mixer track. And maybe let's also change a little bit of the kick pattern. And now let's add this crash. But this one needs to be pretty late, but we of course cannot do it in the pattern. So let's pre-delay it in the mixer track. We'll set it to about 50 milliseconds. Maybe even more.
You survive.
Or the other way we could do it is just take this crash and put it as a sample so we see it better even.
You survive.
Make sure it's on the 13 mixer track.
Survive. Never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. Sleep in their boats, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause
Alright, pretty nice. Speaking of drums, I would like to add one more element to it. It will be some kind of roll here and there. So let's go to our percussion. Let's take this one.
you survive. You survive. They never lose hope. You survive.
Maybe do it like this as well.
You survive. you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold in the fire. Their boats they'll ride into smoke when the fire. Their boats they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fixed. Fire is fixed. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause
Alright, cool, but we need some transition element here. I know that probably a lot of you might take care of transitions and swipe effects as the last element, but I really like to, at the beginning, couple of hours into the production, take care of a little bit of it, so have smoother transitions between my parts, and that really helps me as well get inspired a little bit. So I'd like to get some sweep effects, and let's take some. This one, let's add it to a new track.
relentless, you survive.
And also let's take some brass. Like this one.
Relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. Deep in their boats, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fixed. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause relentless.
Alright, so all of these guys are our orchestral build-up thing. So let's maybe color them together. Like this, and group all of them. We'll insert one and call them orchestral. So we say organize just a little bit, right? We can make a group out of it so we know what's up here.
Relentless, you survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. Deep in their boats, they'll ride into smoke when the fire is fixed. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause
We can also make a group out of them all and route it to the orchestral drums group. Make it a little bit darker like this. And I hold down marking and control while routing so it makes a group. That way we are easily able to take the volume down of the whole group or something. Alright, we got pretty decent build up for now. And now I think we could take care a little bit of the drop. So
never die when the world is calling you. Can you hear them scream?
amazing, amazing vocal. I have goosebumps every time I hear it. That's why we are remixing it. So let's start with the drums. Doesn't look like chocolate to me, but let's take the Indian red. I like it. And let's maybe quickly group the stuff in here. So I have them like this, unsorted, orchestral, automation, audio seems nice. Looks easier now. And now we'll just add some drums. So let's go to our sample pack. A lot of cool samples right here. I'll start with simple kick like this. We'll layer it later. And let's take some snare. This one definitely. Let's take this one. Let's also take some open hat. And also in the best drop sample pack, a lot of you for sure have it already. And I would like to just take if you have a problem with this loop points, just unmark the use loop points. Let's write some drums.
Never die.
Let's first color them together. And now link it with Control and L to the mixer track and make a drum bus right away. Like this. Of course, we'll add more drums later to it.
Never die.
And now we can put everything up since it's pretty low in volume. But we can see that we are actually clipping. So let's take down everything.
Legends never die.
Don't worry if you're clipping on individual tracks, it doesn't matter until you're clipping on the master.
Die. When the world die. When the world.
We'll make some trappy drums right here. If you don't know how to make cool future bass drums, start with some trappy kind of drums, and after that you can just exchange the samples, or it will basically work, since if you add synths and different basses than trap, it will definitely sound like future bass. And also future bass and trap are related genres. One came from the another, so that's why it will work. Let's make the open hat envelope straight.
Survive. They never lose hope when everything's cold and the fighting's near. It's deep in their bones, they'll run into smoke when the fire is fierce. Oh, pick yourself up, 'cause legends never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming out your name?
Alright, pretty nice. Now let's layer it with a proper snare. Sound like this.
Never die. When the world
But definitely let's pre-delay it a little bit. I like 7 to 8 milliseconds.
never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them screaming?
Other way, we could also just put it as the sample. Make sure to set it to 20th.
Never die. When the world is calling you, can you hear them? Can you hear them screaming? Never die.
This guy we can also pre-delay a little bit. Let's say the same amount. Now they are hitting together. As you can see in this sample, if we just change the project time base PPQ to higher mount, you can see that it should actually start right here, since the very peak itself is here. And this thing we are pre-delaying actually. So from this guy, we are going -6 milliseconds up to here. So we could do it manually, but in the mixer it's quite more convenient. The same thing happens in this layered snare. As you can see here, this little tiny guy, it's around 7 milliseconds, let's say, or 6. That's why we are doing just that. And here the difference. Without, they're clumsy, and exact the same pre-delay, they're hitting together. That's very important in this genre, definitely. So we have something just right before the bar here. That's why in the future bass sample pack we've added those enhancers, which we could definitely put like this. definitely better. We can use it, but let's mute it for now and focus on the very main drums. And I'd like definitely add some reverb to the snare to make it swipe into the drum, because there's no introduction to the snare here. And in Future Bass Runner it works pretty very nice. So let's go to the reverse in our Future Bass sample pack. You can take whatever we want, or just make it yourself with reversing a reverbed clap and cutting the very trance into it. Let's listen. Like this. Perfect. Can't get any better than this. Great. Pretty nice. Now let's do the same thing just with the kick. Let's take this really thumpy one. Let's reverse it. Turn the clicking mode. Put it before the kick. Pretty nice. Also, let's put it in our drum bass. Now the drums start to sound without any mixing pretty nice. Thanks to the samples, of course. Sample selection is always at the very first place. Alright, now we could take care of making another instruments, making bass and chords, but the thing I'd like to do right away is making the sidechain. And I'm telling you why, because it just will sound way better when we are listening to it, and we'll hear it way better when the drums are taking down the vocal while we are producing the chords. They will have way more power. So let's sidechain the kick and the snare to the first mixer track, call it sidechain. We can make it forest green. This color doesn't really appeal to me, but let's just stay. We'll apply limiter and go to the sidechain, take down the threshold. And now we'll just route the vocals to it. And now just choose the layered snare. Pretty nice. Let's do it like this. Now we'll add bass. So let's add new pattern called bass and add new clip. In this area we can put all of those guys in one group. Drums. Like this. Alright. Now we'll add another C-room patch. Make it sine wave, add noise, add a really short envelope like this, and link it to the master tune. Nice, and now just distort it a lot. That sounds pretty nice by itself. Now we'll add OTT to it. I will turn down the noise a lot down. Right, and now let's just EQ and add this bump. We'll turn it down anyway, so we are free to do it. Let's say about 120 Hertz and do something like this. That's pretty harsh bass, and you can definitely take down the tube distortion depending on how much you want to slap, how much you want to be heard on a smaller system, for example phones. I'd like it to be pretty high in the distortion since I like my bass to slap. Now let's write some MIDI. And we'll cut the bass just when the snare plays. It will just make it sound like it's really, really heavy. And right away, let's put it to our sidechain. Make sure that the bass slaps with the kick. Let's definitely apply limiter right away on the bass, since we always want to limit the bass, and you for sure know it from our beginner's course, the hardshop course. We always need to limit the sub bass, since we want it to hit as hard as it can on any note it plays. We want it to be as loud as on any other note, and some frequencies they resonate, some frequencies they're lower, sometimes it's higher, so we need to always limit it. That's definitely too happy. And we want to go minor. Maybe let's take it down. Let's make it a little bit longer. It's starting to sound as something, right? Let's just change the track mode.